Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, getting off the excitement that the NHL and the NHLPA has approved the return plan for the 2020-21 season, 56 game schedule, including, as a Calgary Flames fan, most excited for the North AllCanadian Division. Let's have a debate on, now that the Calgary Flames will be playing in an all-Canadian division with the 6 other Canadian teams. Do you think with this all-Canadian division for this upcoming season, do you think it would be helpful or hurtful to the Calgary Flames when it's supposed to playing in the traditional Pacific division? That's something, we could talk and debate about in this video. So, as I say, if you want to follow along this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and I have my other social media links down in the description below for other ways you can follow me. But I think, as much as exciting as I want an all-Canadian division, just in this case, I do feel that the schedule and the competition will actually be a little tougher than if Calgary, let's say this upcoming season, with what we have right now, would have been in the traditional Pacific division. Because a couple of reasons would be, the big one for the Canadian division is travel will definitely be a lot more tougher, with Canada being farther and wider, going west to east or east to west, depending which way you want to look at it. Travel will be a lot more stringent than if we were playing in the traditional Pacific division. We'll still have to deal with the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. But we have to go all the way to the Winnipeg Jets in Manitoba, and then go all the way to the Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa Senators, and the Montreal Canadiens in Ontario, Quebec, out east. So there will be a lot more time zone changes, as opposed to, let's say, if the Calgary Flames went to California, go back in the Pacific time zone in addition with Vancouver, but the 3 California teams, that would be, a lot less travel, playing, the Anaheim Ducks, Los Angeles Kings, or the San Jose Sharks, and then, depending on the time of year, either be in the same time zone or they're behind in Arizona, and then Vegas is I believe they're in the same time zone as we are in the Mountain Time Zone. So travel will be a lot more tougher when it comes to the all-Canadian division as opposed to the traditional Pacific division. And then when it comes to strength of teams are in these divisions, well, other than Vegas, who I think if we had the traditional Pacific division, I think Vegas would be the cream of the crop, the way the team is built in the Pacific division. And then also with the natural rivalry with Edmonton and Vancouver, we would obviously always be up for those games. However, the weaker teams right now, as it looks, would be with Arizona, and then the 3 California teams rebuilding with the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks, and Los Angeles Kings. I think the weaker teams in the traditional Pacific division are weaker than the weaker teams in the Canadian division. Because if you look at the Canadian division, I personally think the Toronto Maple Leafs is the strongest Canadian team right now. I would put Calgary and Edmonton right behind them in a line, just where competition is, that Edmonton is stronger in some areas that Calgary is, and vice versa. Edmonton obviously has, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but I think the Calgary Flames are stronger with defense and in goaltending, so I think that kind of balances that off. But I'm going to say the Ottawa Senators, I think, are the weakest team in the Canadian division right now, just looking at, strength of the rosters and based it on last season, which is naturally what we do. I do think the Ottawa Senators will be more competitive and better this season, maybe a little better than, let's say, the California teams from last season. But it's everyone else is kind of in between, because I think, Vancouver might be on the rise up, but then you got Montreal and Winnipeg. I could see those teams dealing with, getting that top 4 with the format. That would be, the competition would be a lot more tougher overall in the Canadian Division as opposed in the Pacific Division. Because I would think if you look at the traditional Pacific Division, I would say right now, I would give Vegas the lead. Then I would put Edmonton and Calgary 2 and 3, and I would easily put Vancouver 4th. And then Arizona and then the 3 California teams would middle out the bottom 4. And then if we had the traditional divisions, it all depends on the strength of the Central Division, that if there's going to be either 3 or 4 teams in the Pacific making the playoffs or not. But in the Canadian Division, with it being the top 4, that dogfight, in 4th place, I think, looking at only confidently I'd put Toronto 1st and Ottawa 7. That I think the gap between 2 and 6, especially when you're going to play each other at least 9 times and a couple of teams 10 times, I think that gap between 2 and 6 will be very thin. So that's where I think, as exciting as I am for the Calgary Flames, as a Calgary Flames fan, that we will have an all-Canadian division, just to have hockey back, and just, seeing all the Canadian teams over and over again, and the rivalries and the battles ensue. I am also understanding the other side of the coin, that, the old saying, be careful what you wish for. I mean, I understand why the NHL did what it did, so that you can limit travel. In case of the Canadian teams, it just, fans would be excited for it, but they don't have to worry about traveling the international border. I think the Calgary Flames would have been better off still, based on judging on success, if we were in the traditional Pacific Division. That I think we would have better chance of getting home ice or getting the playoffs. I expect Calgary to still get into the playoffs either scenario, but I think we would have had a little easier time, in my mind, based on how the teams look right now with the traditional Pacific Division and in this one-time North All-Canadian Division. But what do you think? I mean, take your team, wherever you are in Canada or wherever you are in what division you cheer for, and just look at the temporarily realigned division and the traditional division and just think, would you have been better off in this temporary realigned division right now or in the traditional division? I know teams that I definitely feel that, I know the one team I think will get the shortest end of the stick league-wide when it comes to these temporary realigned division is the Buffalo Sabres in the East Division. I have a hard time seeing any team being surpassed again to the top 4. There's going to be a couple teams in that East Division that will not be participating in the playoffs because of the strength of that division. While I think the St. Louis Blues will have a tougher travel schedule, I think they all have a little easier time in the temporary West Division with, going back to Arizona and the 3 California teams after, not getting beat up too much from Colorado and Vegas. So those are the only 2 teams that come to my mind outside the Canadian Division that I think could help or hurt. I'm not too sure what I could say a team that could be helped in the temporary divisions. I would probably say, if you look at the Central Division, I would think Minnesota. Minnesota or maybe Nashville for getting that 4 spots too. So that's the debate we can have for this upcoming season, but it should be fun with a shorter, compressed schedule. Only playing division games. Games are going to matter that much more, and every game really is going to matter. That old saying, a 4-point game, it's going to be every game this season, especially when you're looking at playoff implications. So as I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, the Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, but I also do have personal blogs, attempt to call me. Those do share my experiences I'm on the road or a sport event. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what you do, just make sure you like, subscribe. I also have my other social media links down in the description below. So as I say, go Flames go, and either way, regardless if we're playing in the All-Canadian Division just for this season for 2021 or in the traditional Pacific Division, go Flames go, and I'll see you in the next video.